and safety as we continue to deal with COVID-19 pandemic. The Board of Estimates will continue to meet virtually. At this time, I will ask our comptroller, Mr. Bill Henry, for any corrections, additions, or noted abstentions to today's agenda.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are no changes or corrections to today's agenda. There was a protest received for page 85, item number 2, Bureau of Procurement B50006147, Lead Risk Assessment Services. A protest was received from ARC Environmental LLC. The following items have been deferred or withdrawn. On page 23, Department of Transportation Memorandum of Understanding with Defender LLC is being withdrawn. Page 44, item number 2, Department of Housing and Community Development, ratification of grant agreement with I'm Still Standing Community Corporation is being deferred to December 22nd. Page 83, Department of Law, settlement agreement and release is being deferred until December 22nd. Page 85, item number 2, Bureau of Procurement, B50006147, Lead Risk Assessment Services is being deferred until December 22nd. Page 86, item number 4, Bureau of Procurement, B50006206, Procurement Assessment and Transformation is being deferred until December 22nd. The following items are being moved to the non-routine agenda. On page 71, Office of the Comptroller, Status Report Presentation, Department of Transportation, Biennial Performance Audit Findings. Pages 72 and 73, Department of Public Works, Emergency Procurement Agreement with Ullman Schutte Construction, LLC. Pages 74 through 76, Department of Public Works Post-Award Services Agreement with KCI Technologies Incorporated and Transfer of Funds. Page 85, oh, nope, that's right, I'm sorry, page 87 through 89, Department of Human Resources Modification Establishment of AM 205-8 Substance Abuse Policy and AM 205-701 Severance Pay. No items are being moved to the routine agenda. No abstentions have been received by the board. There are no votes and no rejection of recommended awards.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. I would now like to direct the board's attention to a memorandum from my office dated December the 13th, 2021, identifying.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. President, I have a correction.
Mr. Comptroller, too late. You're cut off. Go ahead.
I misspoke. The item, let me go back and pull this back up. I misspoke in the deferral date on page 85, number 2, Bureau of Procurement, B50006147, Lead Risk Assessment Services. That item is being deferred until January 5th of 2022.
Got it. Is that all, Mr. Comptroller?
That's it.
Perfect. I would now like to direct the board's attention to a memorandum dated from my office on December the 13th, 2021, identifying matters to be considered as routine agenda items, together with any corrections and additions that have been noted by our comptroller. I will now entertain a motion to approve all items contained in the routine agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. The routine agenda items have been adopted. Our first item on the non-routine agenda can be found on page 71, Office of Comptroller, Status Report Presentation, Department of Transportation Biennial Performance Audit Findings. This is the first of a series of presentations the board will receive in the coming weeks and months from agencies, giving them the opportunity to update us and the public on their actions to correct findings in their biennial performance audit. At this point, I'll call the floor to Director Sharkey. I appreciate you and your team for joining us this morning. At this point, I yield the floor to you, Director Sharkey.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having us here to describe the audit findings and follow-ups. I believe Liam is now presenting a brief presentation, and I guess we'll go through the presentation shortly, and then I guess answer any questions. So this is discussing the biennial performance audit implementations. So next slide, Liam. So of course, the first finding was in regards to the way that pothole repairs were recorded and the time of those were recorded. So what we were doing was, having the person go out with a piece of paper, the crews write down that they completed the pothole, and then we were not recording the time of completion. We were just closing it and using the close time as the time that it was closed in the computer system as the time of close, not the time. So now we are recording the times that the potholes are closed. We have also added a pothole user's manual, I guess it would be called, to show pictures of what the pothole crews are supposed to be doing to give them that guidance. Next slide, Liam. So let's see. So we did the, we're putting in the right information. We're recording it in CityWorks. And we also have supervisors review random selections of work time to time. So that was the main pieces on the potholes. Next slide. Okay, we slightly changed the wording. So the wording of the performance measure slightly did not mean what it said. So now it's changed to percentage of pothole service requests repaired, where it said number when it should have said percentage. Next piece is about the internal milling and paving of city roadways. City roadway resurfacing. There were some small issues with the OPCs, I believe, that we were using over time. So we updated the calculations with the help of the audits departments. Next slide. So that to calculate the cost per lane mile would be improved. So we have the wrong FICA, the wrong rate, improved that rate, and we're going to update that every year. I think the problem was that it might not have been updated every year in between. Next slide. So we working with so the audits department recommended not to have the total amount of performance measures, to not have the total number of citations, and we agree with their finding in general that it doesn't necessarily show the performance of the individual crews, but us and BBMR do believe that it is an important context for folks to know how much more of an output measure to continue to track that data and to make sure that the residents that look at the budget book can see it. But we did add a new SR type which is percentage of vehicles, abandoned vehicles inspected within 5 days. So that's really going to be more of what the focus is on, the performance of the actual employees. Next slide. If there's more. No, that's it. Those are the main ones. And I guess time for questions.
Yeah, if possible, if the comptroller can ask you some questions, Director Sharkey. Comptroller, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Mr. Sharkey. I really think I just have the one question that you mentioned at the end, the new metric, the timeliness of abandoned vehicle inspections. Do you already track the metric of how long the time is between when a abandoned vehicle comes to DOT's notice and when it's removed?
We do. We have some dashboards that track that, and
okay.
So it is the pandemic has hit us hard. So, but we do track. We have a dashboard that actually gets auto created every Monday and sent to me.
Okay. Okay, that was my question. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. And I saw the hand of our mayor. Mr. Mayor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Director Sharkey. Director, I have one question, but I also think just hearing the comptroller's question just reminded me, and I think it would be good for you to talk about that a little in the public setting around with abandoned vehicles and the restraints that was put on the department during the pandemic, i.e., I'll let you talk about it, vehicles that you were no longer able to move based on the state of emergency order from the governor. But my question is around the calculation for lane miles. Do you know when was the last time before you updated it per after this audit? When the last time that number was updated before?
I do not. Tish, do you happen to know?
Good morning, everyone. I believe it was recently updated about a month ago. I can double check and get back and provide that information.
No, Ms. Griffin, my question is, before you guys updated it as a part of this process, the director said it hadn't been updated for a minute, for a good period of time. When before that first update that you guys made to that number was the last date of that last update?
Yeah, I would have to check with our fiscal section to find out. I don't know the exact date.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Director Sharkey and Liam, if you guys could continue the presentation.
I think that's the main portion of the presentation there.
Oh, okay. Nothing else for you to say, Director Sharkey?
No.
Okay. At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board? Hearing and seeing none, Director Sharkey and team, thank you as always for a great job.
Thank you.
The presentation will be noted. Now we're gonna move on to the next non-routine. Did I hear something? No. Next, we're gonna move on to the next non-routine agenda item. We have three related items that deal with an urgent repair to a sewer outfall at the Back River plant. On page 72 through 73, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, DPW, Emergency Procurement Agreement. This is an agreement in the amount of $10,730,000 for Allman Shooting to perform the repairs. On page 74 through 75, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, DPW, Post-Award Services Agreement. This is an agreement with KCI Technologies for construction management services. And on page 76, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, transfer of funds. This is a transfer to pay for the prior two items. With the permission of the board, I would like to discuss these items collectively since they're all related to the same project and the same issue. If there are no objections, we will proceed with these three items combined. Hearing and seeing no objections, we will move with those three items combined. At this time, I'm going to turn the floor over to DPW Deputy Director, Mr. Matt Garbach, for some brief remarks and to introduce other members of DPW personnel to speak on behalf of this particular item. Deputy Director Garbach, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Comptroller, honorable members of the Board of Estimates. I'm Matt Garbach, Deputy Director for the Department of Public Works. As you mentioned, there are three items. DPW completely acknowledges that this is a rather large item and it is of a quite emergency nature. So some quick background, the Back River Wastewater Treatment Plant treats the majority of the wastewater for the city of Baltimore as well as Baltimore County. There are two large pipes that convey this sewage or the wastewater into the plant. These are parallel pipes. They're over a century old. The pipes are basically 12 feet by 12 feet square. They're massive structures. And they convey all of the wastewater into the plant. What was found was that one of these pipes actually has failures on it, and most of them are located on the crown of the pipe, so at the very top of the pipe. The concern is that at some point the pipe could fail completely, which could cause a considerable amount of sewage overflows. That would be a fairly a catastrophic failure in that regard. When we found these defects and these issues in the pipe, we immediately cordoned off the area so that there is no work, no vehicles, nothing on top of these areas of the pipe to further stress or weaken the pipe and we are constantly monitoring the condition. Currently, it is working. It carries about, I don't know, over 50 million gallons of sewage a day travels through that pipe, and my colleagues can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But that is being monitored daily. So it's still in operation, it's still being worked, and it is being monitored for any additional issues that come from it, but it needs to be repaired. The bulk of the cost of this contract is really going to be the diversion of that wastewater and sewage level. We're talking a massive pipe and a significant process in getting pumps and bypass lines to pump that pipe out so that we can isolate the area that needs to be repaired. So it's not just a normal wastewater pipe, it is a large conduit into which most of the sewage of the city and the county flows into the plant. When we found this out and requested emergency authorization, we did ask for construction bids. The ones we received from Ullman Shooty were the lowest bids or prices, excuse me, price quotes. It wasn't bid out, but we asked for prices. And Ullman Shooty's also the prime contractor for the Headworks project. So they have an intimate understanding of the inflow of sewage to the plant, as well as the pipes and the lines moving to the plant. So it made engineering sense as well as financial sense to move forward with engineering, with Ullman Shooty, excuse me, for this particular item. And with that, I'm gonna, with your permission, Mr. President, turn it over to our chief engineer for DPW, Mr. Tim Wolf, if that is permissible, sir.
Just 1 second before we go to Mr. Wolf, Deputy Director Carbark. From a
Yes.
moratorium perspective, was the second pipe evaluated for some of the same defects to ensure that in a year or 2 or 5, we don't have to come back and do this on the second pipe?
Mr. Wolf can answer that, but my understanding is we are constantly monitoring these issues, and we are making sure that this is not something that happens on the other pipe or elsewhere on the pipe. But Mr. Wolf could answer that in more detail.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Mr. Wolf, I'm going to yield the floor to you, but if you could begin by answering my question regarding that second pipe.
Yes, good morning, everyone. I guess, can you hear me? Yes, okay, great. Good morning,
Clear.
Board and President, Mayor, Controller, Director. Thank you. Yes, the first question, yes, we're through the consent decree. We're doing condition assessment, inspecting all the pipelines, the sewer pipelines in the city's collection system. And these pipes were originally inspected during the early phases of the consent decree in 2005. And basically at that point, we were just doing a condition assessment, identified some cleaning requirements to clean out these big pipelines. As Matt had said, that there's a lot of sediment in there. So we went in and cleaned it out. We actually had a contract in 2015 to clean it out. And we're finishing up cleaning in 2018 when this additional failure was come to light in more detail. So in 2018, we noticed that there was over like 10 holes in the top of the pipe. And it's where force mains come in from Baltimore County. There's two 30-inch force mains. And as Matt had said, there's also as much as 50 MGD in this pipe. It's 100 years old. So basically, the idea is to repair this pipe and stabilize it. But we, as Matt had said, we have to divert the flow to the other pipe in order to get in there and install this process. So we, as Matt had said, we did go out and get solicit bids. We had a design prepared by KCI. We solicited 3 bids from Spinello, Ullman Shooty, and IPR. IPR withdrew. They decided not to bid. And then we got 2 bids. The low bidder was Ullman Shooty at $10.7 million, and the next bidder was $17 million. And I think the delta there is that Ullman Shooty had just done a repair further downstream for the same pipe that had a similar failure, and they're using the same specialized repair method. It's a spiral wound in pipe insulation with concrete injected into the pipe to stabilize it. So it's pretty specialized. And so we went ahead and got that through, did an emergency authorization, and we're, poised to move forward with performing the work. So that's a quick overview. I can, provide more details as necessary. But as Matt had said, it's very critical. These are the only two pipes that convey the 120 million gallons a day of wastewater to Back River. And during dry weather flows, it's about 120 MGD. They split between both pipes, but during wet weather, we can see 300 or 400 MGD of flow. So these are critical pipelines, and that's why we proceeded an emergency authorization to get this repaired, stabilized, and back in service in the sense of confidence that we've stabilized the failures there.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. And I think what I heard from you is the same evaluation that was done to find these defects on this particular pipe were also done on the second pipe. And at this point, there are no additional defects on the second pipe.
Right. The only thing we're doing is, part of the work is also to maintain cleaning, and inspecting the pipe on a regular cycle, part of the consent decree, part of the city's programs.
Is the cleaning complete on the second pipe?
Actually, the cleaning is starting to mobilize now upstream and move downstream because of the Headworks project that just came on board. We had this basically hydraulic backup in the system causing sewage to back up in these big pipes for over 10 miles, and we had sediment. Now that Headworks is in service, it's operating now, the flows were moving through, so we're going to go back and clean it again to improve hydraulics. So that's just actually getting underway now as well.
So to level set expectations with that additional cleaning and the work that you have to do with Headworks underway, some additional defects could be found in the future, correct?
That's true. And but at this point, we, through the inspection that we've done in the past, the biggest challenge was the sediment buildup that robs capacity of these pipelines. So that is, really the focus at this point.
No, I appreciate that background. Just want to level set, make sure we're all on the same page. If Mr. Garbark has to come back in a year or two and talk to us about some additional defects, just want to make sure we all understand and know why we're dealing with a century-old pipe that was before its time 100 years ago, but no longer that way.
Right.
At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board for DPW? Hearing and seeing none, I'll entertain motion.
I move approval.
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor of approving this item, please say aye.
Aye.
And all those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. This item is now approved. We deferred the Arc Environmental LLC protest. Okay. Matt's just keeping us all in line. So remember, in the beginning, we talked about bridging all three items because they were all related. So just to explicitly communicate on the record, page 72 to 73, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering, Construction, DPW, Emergency Procurement Agreement. That was in the amount of $10,730,000 to Alman Schutte, as well as page 74 through 75, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, DPW, Post Award Services Agreement. That was an agreement with KCI Technologies. And then on page 76, Department of Public Works, Office of Engineering and Construction, transfer of funds. It's transfer to pay for the two prior items that I just discussed. So with that, we had a motion on the floor, and that motion was approved for all three of those items. At this point, if we could just call a motion again, just to ensure that we're all on the same page. So I believe that, Mr. City Solicitor, you put the motion on the floor?
Yeah, I move approval of all three items.
Second.
So it's been moved and probably seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. Those three items are now approved. The ARC Environmental LLC protest, again, that has been deferred. So I think the last and final issue for the board can be found on pages 87 through 89, Department of Human Resources, modification, establishment of AM 205-8 substance abuse policy and AM 205-7-1 severance pay. These changes may alter the pre-employment drug and alcohol testing policy for new employees in positions that are not safety sensitive and enact a severance pay program for certain management level employees who are not in civil service upon separation from the city. At this time, I would like to recognize Director Quentin Herbert from the Department of Human Resources to explain these items. Director Herbert, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President, to Mr. Mayor, Mr. Comptroller, other distinguished members of the board. Both of these policy changes reflect this administration's commitment to equity and providing opportunity to all of the citizens of Baltimore. I'll begin with AM 205-8, which is the substance abuse policy. Currently, the substance abuse control policy is a standalone policy. We have a couple of those throughout the city. This action by the board does two things. It moves the substance abuse policy into the AM manual where all of the other policies reside, where there's a bit more uniformity. The second thing that it does, which is the only substantive change to the existing policy, is to remove non-safety sensitive classifications from the pre-employment drug screen requirement. This is in line with a lot of the benchmarking that we did as an agency. We looked at some larger municipal employers like Riverside County in Southern California, which has 20,000 employees. They have gone away from pre-employment drug screening for a number of their classifications. New York City government as well as Atlanta city government as well. This moves us more in line with the trend nationally that we're seeing. The trend of not requiring drug tests for these types of classification is gaining momentum nationally amid the current tight labor market. And the test itself is a disincentive for a number of residents to even apply for many of these city vacancies. So we believe that this change to the policy will create a more inclusive hiring process for many of our residents, will open the door for them to apply to some of the vacancies that we have throughout the city. And also there are benefits to the city in that eliminating pre-employment screening for these non-safety sensitive classifications, it'll save the city money because we're not testing these people on the front end, but it will also reduce the number of days to hire into these positions for these non-safety sensitive classifications. So this provides a number of benefits to the city and to potential applicants for city employment. It does not, the changes to the policy do not impact the city's ability to drug test for reasonable suspicion, or if a person is displaying signs that they are under the influence of a substance while at the workplace. So those provisions of the policy remain untouched. We did have a chance to discuss these proposed changes with our labor stakeholders. They were unanimous in agreeing to these proposed changes, and they were in support of them. With respect to AM 205-7-1, which is the severance policy, this is a new policy. This is a policy that DHR worked in tandem with the Department of Finance on. And again, this is a policy that brings equity to how we treat our executive level employees. Currently, those at the very top levels of city government, as you know, are those that can be removed or transitioned out, not necessarily for cause, but because the administration may want to go in a different direction. Currently, there is no severance provision, and so when folks are asked to leave at that time, they're paid out for their accrued leave as everyone else is, and that's it. In the past, there have been instances where some of those folks have been allowed to be paid out for their accrued comp time, but that practice was not equitable and fair because there are some agencies, for example, that don't allow executive level employees to accrue comp time. And so there was an inequity there. What this policy seeks to do is to right size that, to right that wrong, and so that all of the folks in these classifications know exactly what their severance is at separation. It's uniform throughout. and we're not treating employees at this level of government differently.
Thank you, Director Herbert. At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from members of the board? At this point, I see the hand. Well, we'll go first to Mr. Mayor. The floor is yours.
No, thank you. No question for me, Mr. President. Just a simple thank you to Director Herbert and his team for this great work. This is something that I tasked him and the solicitor with getting done very early on in the administration to make sure that our employment process was more fair, more open for Baltimore's residents, and we were no longer locking people out of employment who are ready, willing, and able to work in our great city.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At this point, I also saw the hand of Mr. Comptroller. Ms. Comptroller, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to echo the mayor's sentiments. I wanted to thank Mr. Herbert and his team for this work. Some observers of city government may recall the city council attempted to address this matter through legislation in the last term. It was unsuccessful, but I am glad, I'm proud that the city has adopted this as a policy. I asked Mr. Herbert, I told Mr. Herbert that I was going to put this item on non-routine today, not because I had concerns or objections, but because I think that this is a really good thing that the city is doing. And I wanted to make sure that he had an opportunity to share the details of it with the public. I'm also, although we're concentrating on the change to the substance abuse policy for screening pre-employment, I think we also should give a shout out for the fact that we are now incorporating it into the administrative manual as opposed to being a separate policy, which wasn't necessarily as easy for people to find. And now it's going to be even easier because anybody can just go online and look up the administrative manual and have comprehensive access to the city's policies, which I think we might need to thank this administration for also, because I feel like I tried to do that in the past and was unsuccessful looking up the administrative manual if I was not looking from a city workstation inside the system. But now that information is definitely available to the public at large, and I think that's a great thing. So thank you, Mr. President, for the opportunity.
No, thank you, Mr. Comptroller. At this point, are there any additional questions or concerns from other members of the board? Well, I too would like to just second sentiment of Comptroller as well as Mr. Mayor, Director Herbert, for your work and your team's work in drilling down this. We understand and know that there's other gaps and holes out there, but these have been two glaring issues that are really important about moving our city forward and providing the best opportunities to the taxpayers. So thank you so much. At this point, I'll entertain a motion for us to proceed.
I move approval of both
Second.
provisions.
It's been moved and properly seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, please say nay. The ayes have it. We're about to close out, but I'm a little disappointed. I'm not sure if the rest of the board members are disappointed. But the expectation was we were going to have a wardrobe change from our comptroller like he did last year. Is that not the case this year, Comptroller Henry?
I did not get a chance to make that change, but perhaps we'll see what the next week's meeting just before Christmas brings us.
Oh, okay. Thank you. With that same sentiment, I know that the mayor hosted an amazing tree lighting as well as toy drive yesterday. We all saw it. It's great participation. The event looked really, really nice. Tonight, the council will also be doing the same, not the tree lighting, it's for the mayor to light the tree. However, we will be collecting toys in front of City Hall from 5 to 7 o'clock. For Baltimore City Public School students, the first 100 to come to the event will also take home a computer. But we ask folks to bring toys for ages 2 to 12, unwrapped, nonviolent toys. They're going to be disseminated throughout the city by the Movement team. So we've partnered with them this year, and we would love for folks to come out and enjoy free coffee, free hot cocoa, free donuts, some entertainment from Baltimore City Public School, School for the Arts students, as well as some praise and worship and gospel and Christmas themed music from Walk by Faith Ministries. Again, that's today in front of City Hall from 5 to 7 p.m. With that, is there any additional items that board members would like to bring up? Hearing and seeing none, there's no new business before the board. We will recess until bid opening at 12 noon. The Board of Estimates will convene on Wednesday, December 22nd, where we might see a special guest appearance. Okay, so that's December 22nd at 9 a.m. for our final meeting of 2021. I would like to thank everyone for tuning in. Baltimore, happy holidays, and we love you.
Thank you.